Hi friends. First of all, sorry we are 1 minute late. It's 8:31. I try to start normally at 8:30. So, there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. First of all, thanks everyone for all the messages that you sent me today on Twitter, on those of you who have access to my Telegram, on my Telegram or on WhatsApp or on Instagram. Uh, Today we crossed an important level in terms of Telegram subscribers as well. So, but thanks a lot. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today is, of course, we'll talk about the market data. But the one thing which a lot of you asked me was, how did I identify a right entry point for Hindustan Unilever today in terms of that rally that we had, and also the kind of breakout that we had in IndusInd Bank? Because a lot of you asked me how I identified those and is there any magic trick? Well, there's no magic trick. It's just perhaps years of staying in front of the screen and observing. But we will discuss that later. First, I want to talk about today's trade and I want to talk about the data points that we are getting as we approach tomorrow's trade. So these are important points. I'm trying to analyze some of the data live because some of this data I try to log in at 8 and try to see if I can get some of the live data. For example, the Dow and a couple of other important internals. Let's first start with the data point that I find very important, which is what's happened with the FII data. Now, the FII data, by the way, the US markets right now are seeing a big rally, 300 points higher on the Dow, and about Nasdaq has really been one of the best markets, really. So that's doing really well. So the global cues right now are looking quite strong. Now let's talk about the data. First of all, the FII data. FI data obviously will look very large in terms of the cash market because 19,000 crores of buying. Keep in mind, 23,000 crores was the Hindustan Unilever block deal. Now the DIS buying is also 3,800 crores. I think if you were to club both FII and DII number, you would say that roughly all of the buying is HUL buying. Net, we would never know how much would FIs have sold and how much would have DIs bought X of Hindustan Unilever. Having said that, at the end of the day, Hindustan Unilever is a stock and people are buying, so that counts as FI buying, and that will reflect when the year-end numbers are counted. You won't say that if there was a block in Hindustan Unilever, it would count as FI buying, right? And it would count as a long-term buy, which or whatever technical buy, whatever you want to call it. But FI buying is something which was there. Now, I just want to talk about a few points. We underperformed today. Even though we did not break yesterday's low, by 3:30, our market was clearly underperforming the global markets. Global markets were mostly okay. A lot of the markets were doing well. Europe was doing well. Dow futures were up. We were down. I think you should give importance to that. You should give importance to the fact that the markets consistently been making lower highs and lower lows. Today's high was also lower. If you look at the Nifty, today's high was 9278 compared to 9346 for yesterday. First day of the series was 9533, then it came down to 9450, then 9346, then now 9278. The saving grace was that today's low was higher than yesterday's low. So far over the last 3 days, we made lower lows: 9267, 9190, 9116, 9175. What that does, and similar is the case with the bank Nifty, the high came down from 19,806 to 19,757. The low improved from 18,941 to 19,332. What this does is it gives you a perfect reference point, which is yesterday's low on the Nifty. Yesterday's low on the Nifty of 9116 is absolutely sacrosanct now. Absolutely sacrosanct. Line in sand. Lakshman Rekha. 20-day moving average, important support, level at which the market's taking support, level at which the market wants to fight back, the level at which there's a lot of put writing. Everything is at 9100. 9100 breaks, you have a slide to 8700. Simple as that. No rocket science. And also if you see the chart of the Nifty, you will notice that that perhaps is a possibility. So in that sense, to defend the low of yesterday, give or take 50 points, 91.16 or thereabout. Otherwise, you're off to 8,700. The bank Nifty is interesting actually. The bank Nifty is clearly the high beta index. On the day the market does well, bank Nifty outperforms. On the day the market falls, the bank Nifty falls more. On the bank Nifty, what is interesting is that while on the Nifty, the 20 DMA is emerging as a support, on the bank Nifty, the 20 DMA is acting as a resistance. Today's high was 19,757. 20 DMA is 19,768. It can't get more precise than this. So the bank Nifty is very weak. And my sense is it's a matter of when and not if you break the low on the bank Nifty, which is this month's low, which is 18,941. But not just that, the bank Nifty becomes very vulnerable. The bank Nifty has sort of given up that leadership, so that way it's under a lot more pressure. So what are the other data points that we are looking at right now? Now look at the FI data in the futures market. 13,000 longs were unbound and 9,900 shorts were added. This on a day when the market was down. So I give a lot of importance to this data. The options data is all over the place because it was weekly expiry. We would never know, we would not know how to make sense of that. Also in the stock futures, after a long time, we're seeing this trend, massive unwinding of longs and huge buildup of short position. I think tomorrow is a very interesting day because tomorrow my sense is that the market will make a decisive move. I am no doubt in my mind that tomorrow morning or tomorrow we are likely to have a 200-point Nifty move. Yes, 150 to 200-point Nifty move is possible intraday. Now, it's very tough for me to say it's on the upside or the downside, but I think that it's about the battle for either 91.70 or 94.50. These are two levels that more or less I'm watching out for. So let's see which way things break, on the upside or on the downside. On the bank Nifty as well, if the Nifty moves 200 points, the bank Nifty moves 600 points. Simple arithmetic. So that's also going to be another important parameter as we move forward. That's as far as the data is concerned. Now let's come to the point which a lot of you asked me about Hindustan Unilever and IndusInd Bank. The market gave you two jackpot trades today. Now, of course, these were not recommendations; these were just data points. I never recommend stocks. I never will. I just tell you that okay, the stock has had a breakout or whatever. On lever, one thing is very clear. When the day started today, the consensus was that the stock bottoms out today. Nothing wrong in that. I also agree that the stock bottoms out with a large block deal because it large part of the fall preceding this was because of block deal. Though I would add that some part of the fall is also because of the numbers and also because the kind of valuation that lever was trading at did not get support from the kind of numbers that it posted. However, let it be. The consensus was that lever today bottoms out with a block deal. That's true. What happens on days like today is if you see the block deal, the mistake that people make is that they enter on the first trade. A lot of you would have made that mistake. Hand on your heart, tell me, did you make that mistake or not? Tell me that you did buy Hindustan Unilever at 1940, 1945 only for you to be out of the market when your stop loss was triggered at 1910 or 1920, and then you painfully saw the stock go back to 2000. Trust me, tell me, put your hand on your heart and tell me you did it. There's no point lying. A lot of you would have done it. And the reason for that is because you entered too early in the trade. When blocks happen, and when especially in such a publicized block and one of the largest blocks that Indian market has ever seen, these blocks do not happen in one go. It required 3 blocks for that entire tranche to go through. And there's a lot of leakage. What is leakage? Leakage is a lot of funds who do not want to participate in the block, but simply want to just want to see the screen and just want to buy. The block was happening at 1903, 1904. You put an order at 1906, 1908, 1910, 1915, 1916, 1920, knowing that there's going to be a FTSE rebalancing, knowing that there's going to be an MSCI rebalancing, knowing that levers Nifty it is going to go up, lever is going to have a tactical rally. You want to buy lever, give or take 40 or 50 points. It doesn't matter to the hedge funds. Hedge funds would buy regardless of what happens, and a lot of HNIs would buy, thinking that this is the bottom. So that's why the leakage happens. A lot of people think that okay, the entire block has happened. When what actually happened at 9:15 was that only 70% or 65 to 70% of the block happened. 30% was still left. Then you had that first move up. Immediately the next block came. When the next block came, it was clear that that was a time in which the entire selling was done, and it happened somewhere around 1903, 1905. But again, you just wanted to be confident, and what you wanted to do was wait for the first big green bar. You know what the first big green bar does is, after that, is that it gives you an important reference point in terms of where to put your stops. So the low of that green bar becomes your stop. So I don't claim to say that I spotted that Hindustan Unilever at 1905, 1906, or 1910. I didn't want to. At 1922, 1925, I said that okay, the selling is over, and now the stock could rally, and that's how things happen. See, what happens is that if you buy at 1905 when the low was 1903, there's a good chance of you hitting your stop loss. But if you observe the first green bar, the stock moving to 1920, 1925, then you have a reasonable stop loss. So it's important to have a reasonable stop loss. That was on Hindustan Unilever. What is my view on Hindustan Unilever? My view is very simple. If lever has become very attractive now, then Unilever would have bought all of it. My sense is Unilever bought some of it. I've been told that Unilever bought some of it, a little bit of it. But if Lever in the past had bought stake from the, by the way, there's a blog that I've written. You can Google it about the watershed movement for Hindustan Unilever. That was at 600. At 600, when I spoke about Lever going to 2000s or whatever. So that was that. Anyway, that's a different thing. So Lever parent would have bought it. But the fact that so many funds are buying it, my sense is that Hindustan Unilever at some point going forward will once again retest 1900. Yes, I stick by that. It will have a tactical rally because its weights will go up, FTSE rebalancing, Nifty rebalancing, whatever you may want to call it. It will have a tactical rally. It will not go back to its previous high though in a hurry because the numbers were bad and the economy is bad, so it will have an impact. So, and it's tough to reclaim all the 22% lost ground easily. So it will have a rally, but at some point this rally will get sold into, and at some point it will break 1900. That's my view. I could be wrong, and that's my theory. So I reserve the right to be wrong. So because look, let's be aligned to the reality. Uh, Even at current levels, lever is expensive, and this there's going to be a bit of an earnings damage. So all stocks will correct. Lever will also correct. My base case is the market will correct more and perhaps even retest the previous lows. So in that sense, even lever will correct. That's on lever. Now, why a lot of people ask me, many of you ask me, how did I spot IndusInd Bank when the fact is that it didn't even hit the high of the day? Look, high of the day, low of the day is a very what do you call amateur way of thinking about the market. Because if that was the case, you all simply have to do is just put a program trade. High of the day is gone, you buy. Low of the trade is gone, you sell. Things do not work like that. I could identify IndusInd Bank because I track large stocks. I do not track small stocks. I track large stocks. I keep tracking them. It was by chance, by luck, whatever you may want to call it. I spotted that breakout and I said, okay, there's a breakout, especially if 430. What was the price? Yes, yeah. I mean, if 430 at 430 to 435, all of a sudden it happened with big volumes. I said, okay, 430 holds. The breakout sustains. Uh, you could call it luck, you could call it whatever. I don't claim to be a technical analyst. I don't claim to have an expertise. So that was the reason that the reason is that I at a time I'm tracking mainly the 10 top stocks. I track the biggest bank Nifty components and the biggest Nifty components. Rest, it happens, it comes on my software, but I normally mostly I'm tracking big stocks, and that's why also what happens in tracking big stocks is that the breakouts are sustainable. In small mid cap stocks, uh, lot of hanky panky stuff happens. I don't want to get into that. So you know, that's why you're better off looking at the large stocks, because in large stocks, you have comfort. Okay, breakout has happened or breakdown has happened because a large money is betting on that. So that's why we could spot that breakout in IndusInd Bank. As I said, it could have been any other stock. It could have been HDFC Bank, Reliance. It just happened to be IndusInd Bank by chance, and we spotted it. One last point that I want to make before we say good night today is that the market, ladies and gentlemen, is exhibiting some weakness. So be careful. And this market now is a sell on rally market unless you take out the first day high of 95.33. It's a market which is playing per script. If you go by my blog, which is that you hit almost 10,000 on expiry day and then you start to retreat. Now it's not likely that it will go down in one way. It will, or one linear way. It will keep having pullbacks. So your opportunity will be in those pullbacks. If and if you start to break above 95.50, 95.30, whatever, then of course the market once again resumes its upwards journey. But that's not my base case. Anyway, that's it for today. This, remember, is based on the preliminary data. We'll have the final data tomorrow, and we will analyze that data, and we'll be back on CNBC TV18 and on Twitter, and we'll have my ETM trade setup that all of you so eagerly look forward to. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.